looks like we are starting to get some indication of the direction of travel that the government are looking to take in relation to debt repayment. We know that they are against any kind of tax change that would harm the economy and the recovery. So we can be pretty certain, I think, that we won't get a one-off wealth tax or COVID recovery tax anytime soon. We also know the government have looked at, through the Office of Tax Simplification, through their request to the OTS, had a look at capital taxation, so we might see some changes there. We also know that the government are very keen, it seems, to defer tax changes, to introduce kind of stealth taxes. We've seen that already in this latest budget with the freezing of personal allowances, exemptions and thresholds. And we have seen a very strong attraction, it seems, to corporate tax. And that's the area I want to spend time on. Corporate tax is interesting to the government, one, because it tends to be largish amounts of money, and two, because taxing companies seems to be understandably more in favour with individuals than taxing individuals themselves, even though as individuals we end up contributing to any kind of corporate tax increases through prices. That tends to happen. However, on corporate taxes, we've already seen the government have started down that road by saying, actually, in 2023, in the financial year 2023, corporate tax rates are going to rise by a pretty significant, in fact, very big, 31%, from 19% to 25% for profits over 250,000, remaining at 19% for profits under 50,000. That's going to yield quite a lot of extra money, but it's deferred. But it will come, and when it comes, it will yield a fair bit for the government. We've also been buoyed up in that approach, it seems. We're getting some pretty big help from the other side of the pond with Joe Biden and Yellen's approach to corporate taxes. Now, this is very big on a global front. Now, it's driven also by a very strong sort of national need from the USA standpoint. They have also entered into massive, much bigger than ours, a program of supporting the economy with significant borrowing. So an increase to corporate tax and the amount of tax that they can get in is very appealing. So what have they proposed? Well, it's a two-point plan, really. These are the two main points. One, that there should be a global minimum rate of tax of 21%. So we can go big tick. We were already going up to 25%. So you know, we're sort of going down that path already, supported globally. And two, this is really important, I think, is that the profits of multinationals should be taxed more in the countries in which the transactions take place. So when they're doing business with the citizens of particular countries, the profits are quite often booked by those multinationals in other jurisdictions, very typically, almost understandably, jurisdictions with low tax rates. So what the American plan is to say, look, we want a 21% minimum global tax rate, but also we think that these multinationals, many of whom are American, USA-based, should have their profits more taxed in the countries in which they do the transactions. Now, that would mean that the countries in which the transactions are being done, which currently don't get the tax because they're being booked in some tax haven, would get the tax. Now, a pressure group called Tax Justice have estimated that even if we had a 20% rate in this country, bear in mind we're scheduling a 25% rate, even if we had a 20% rate and all of those profits of those global multinationals that are not currently taxed in the UK were taxed, that would generate another £13.5 billion to the UK a year. Now, if it goes up to 25%, because that rate would apply to all of those big companies, on those profits, which we're getting no tax on at the moment, that would generate even more. So you can understand there will be big applause from the UK for that aspect of that proposed corporate tax change. So corporate tax change is very much in the air, and it's something that we're going to keep a very, very close eye on.